Hi, in this video I'm going to talk about how we have connected a heart rate monitor, one of those chest-borne, to our starter kit using Bluetooth Low Energy. So the chest-borne heart rate monitor, as you can see on the screen here, we have tested it using this one here, the XOSS. There's a link there where you can find it. But this is the one we used for testing this functionality. So you can install it by just go to apps.maxiq.space and then just install the starter kit. Like if you have had to install the starter kit yourself before, this is the way. So obviously if you programmed your device with Arduino or Platform IO, you have to install the bootloader, and that's the top part of this apps.maxiq.space. But if you have just a normal kit running that you never installed anything on, then you can simply just use Chrome and plug in your starter kit to your computer using USB, and then you simply just download the starter kit, and there's a drive on your computer saying CWA, and you simply just drag and drop that file there, and then you have heart rate monitor opportunity. Now, if you don't have a heart rate monitor connected, then nothing happens. It's gonna function like any other starter kit. But if you have a heart rate monitor connected, and you have to do that first, so if you boot up your kit and then attach your heart rate monitor, it turns off automatically when you take it off. When you put it on back on your chest, then just click reset, and it will then try to find the heart rate monitor. You will see that the red LED will blink a little bit longer because it has to establish communication to the HRM. Once you have it up and running, one of the screens will be a heart rate monitor screen, like you can see here with the logo, and simply just showing the current heart rate. But you can also record it to the SD card, and then you will have like the data coming down. So if you're not connecting to anything else, or even if you are, it doesn't really matter. If there's an SD card connected to your starter kit, it will simply just write down the data to the SD card, and will only create the columns for the sensor you connected. So in this case here, I had connected the accelerometer, the one with the rocket, and the barometer, the one with the mountain. And there's no other sensor, but using Bluetooth, it will then connect to the heart rate monitor. So in the data here, we can see we have pressure and temperature that comes from the barometer, the one with the mountain. And then we have altitude, which I then calculated using the hypsometric formula. And you can Google it, but otherwise you can see here on the screen how the formula looks like. It normally wants a base pressure, but the standard base pressure, if you don't have anything, is 1013.25, as in this formula here. Anyhow, there's another 4 columns for the accelerometer, and then there's 1 column for the heart rate. And I just plotted the heart rate versus the magnitude here on the screen as an example. You can also see the data in Kibana, and here it's the heart rate versus the temperature. And the idea is that if you want to have it in Kibana, but you're of course not on your computer or at your Wi-Fi, then you can just use your phone and set it up as a hotspot, and then connect it to the internet using your phone. You should also consider making a box, just so if you take it up there with you, that it's safe. So box.maxiq.space, and you can create a box like that. Here I have a little video where I have connected the heart rate monitor, and then I compare it to my Apple Watch, where I have a heart rate also. And there's plenty of other watches and mechanics that can do this thing here. So if I already have a heart rate on my watch, why then the interesting part here with this kit here? Well, the interesting for me is that if you can compare it to other environmental variables, like for example, the accelerometer, so you can see the g-force together with the heart rate, that could maybe be interesting, and I'm gonna give an example at the end of the video here. Then a bit of the technical part, but you can skip over this thing here. I'm gonna put a chapter in below here in the YouTube, and then you can just jump to the end. There's 2 slides here of the technical thing, just if you want to know how this thing here works. So there's a number of different ways to read the heart rate on. There's kind of like the general accepted way to do this thing here, which is the one we use here because that's the one that's most likely to work on all the heart rate monitors out there. And then I find a hack, and I'll come back to that if you want to play with yourself. There's a library made. It's on GitHub. It's called HRM, and it looks like all the other libraries. So you can simply just put that library in. If you use to program any of the other stuff, then this is the same structure as the other libraries. Now, in a Bluetooth world, you kind of like have what you call a service ID, which is kind of like a way to figure out from the device what kind of services provide. There's also like an identification of the device, but because a Bluetooth monitor comes from all kind of different manufacturers and they kind of like want to work on all kind of software solution, they use this what's called a generic GAT, which are listed here. So that's kind of like just whoever is listening here to when we talk with that generic GAT, I can then get data from them. So I scan all the devices and looking for the service UUID that you can see on the screen. The first part refers to a heart rate service. And then I simply connect to the device that comes up, the best that comes up with responding to this thing here. And I set up what's called a notification. So every time there's a change in heart rate, I get notified that that is happening. So this is done by asking for the heart rate measurements, and that uses a characteristic UUID, as you can see here on the screen. Both of these numbers you can look up in assigned numbers from Bluetooth. You can see the link below here. Now, there is a possibility that some heart rate monitor uses a 16-bit heart rate, which is kind of a little odd because you can write up to 255 on 8-bit, and heart rate over 255 I think is unhealthy. So I implemented it for 8-bit. Let me know if for any reason you need 16 bits. And then if you can't get it to work or you want to kind of like see how it works, there's actually an example. If you have already coded for the ESP32, you will have the ESP32 installed. And you get, that's called scan, and you get like this string up here where you can see the service UID and you can see the last number is 46. And that's actually the hack I found because that number changed as I scanned. And it turns out that that's a hexadecimal value for 70, which was my heart rate at this point here where I did this thing here. So the last byte of the manufacturer ID is also the heart rate, but I'm not sure if it's only for this device or it's also other devices. So this is kind of like a way to read it without connecting. But in my case, I just do it the right way. And by the way, if your heart rate monitor here is connected to another device, then I can't connect it from this. So your phone is on and connected to this thing here, which is most likely if you kind of like have started it. Go into your phone and just say, forget this device under Bluetooth. And then try again. But you can run this example here. It's called under examples, under the different examples for the ESP32S3. There's a section called BLE, and then under that there's something called scan. There's also some extended scan. You don't want that. You want the one that's called scan. And it comes up, you can see it's a long list of all my Bluetooth devices I have, mainly because, you know, the Apple devices is all responding to Bluetooth also. But you will get one of these as you can see here, and there will be a service UID possible that shows what kind of like service it will respond to. Okay, enough of the technical thing. We did this thing here to kind of like add a health or medical opportunity. So the learning could go into some other stuff. You can imagine that you could put it on sports people, that you put the accelerometer on, you can even put the GPS on. You know, like those that sits in the back on the shirt of sports people when you want to measure how they progress on the field. And there you could, you know, capture the heart rate at the same time. So there's an opportunity here for doing a learning that gets into other fields of STEM study. And we wanted to simply try to add a BLE sensor to the starter kit. There could be other BLE sensors. There could be, you know, low cost, for example, soil moisture sensor runs BLE. Maybe that would be an idea. And then what this video played here in the background is the COG. So we have somebody who is actually going to fly on COG. And maybe it could be interesting to have a heart rate monitor and accelerometer, even the pressure sensor on board the airplane, to figure out how you, from a health perspective, medical perspective, perform in a near zero gravity environment. That's all for this video. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know if it does work for you or if you tried at all. Thank you very much.